Hi there! Improvising over different chords can be challenging due to the vast amount of possibilities. There are so many scales, arpeggios and substitutions out there that it is sometimes overwhelming and even chaotic in our musical minds. Then it becomes hard to choose the right options for a particular chord or chord progression. You fall back to the plain major or minor scale, or even the pentatonic scale, just for the sake of avoiding a nasty musician's headache. So I thought it would be a good idea to create a video which can serve as a kind of modest reference work for improvising over the most important 7 chords. Now I will make 4 videos, each about different 7 chords or a group of 7 chords. So let's start with such a crystal clear overview of improvising possibilities over 7 chords. In music we can distinguish 5 main 7 chords that you come across in all kinds of musical genres. Some you will encounter more than others depending on the musical style you're approaching. So these different types of chords are the major 7 chord, the minor 7 chord, the dominant 7 chord, the diminished 7 chord and the altered 7 chord or augmented 7 chord. Now there are thousands of videos that cover improvisation over 7 chords. And some of them are very comprehensive and take up maybe like half an hour just to treat one type of 7th chord. But that's not what I'm aiming for. Instead, I want to help you on your way by creating a clear overview with the most used improvising possibilities. And after that, you can search for in-depth content to enrich your knowledge even more. So let's look again at these 5 7 chords. Now, we can distinguish major and minor 7 chords in this list. We have 3 chords that belong to the major family. The major 7 chord, the dominant 7 chord, and the dominant altered 7 chord. And we have 2 chords that belong to the minor family. And those are the minor 7 chord and the diminished 7 chord. Now each individual chord can have its own harmonic function that denotes the relationship to the tonic in a diatonic scale. So each type of 7 chord will have its own characteristics and sound, which could be enhanced by the way we improvise over chord changes, for instance. Now let's take a look at these chords, and in part 1 we will cover the major 7 chords. Now the major 7 chord can be described as a dreamy sounding chord and has a root, a major 3rd, a perfect 5th, and a major 7th. Now the major 7th is the most obvious 7 chord to be a tonic in a major scale, or Ionian mode as it's sometimes called. It can also be the 4th degree to serve as a subdominant in a major scale, like an F major 7 in the key of C major, for instance. Now besides the tonic of the Ionian mode, the major 7 chord can also be the tonic of the Lydian mode. Sometimes a sharp 11 is added to give the chord a Lydian quality. The sound of the major 7 chord is determined by the major 7 interval and the minor 2nd interval. Both result in a rather dissonant sound. So let's take a look at our options for improvising, starting with the mother of all scales, the major scale. Pretty obvious is the use of a major scale over a major 7 chord. So over C major 7 we can improvise with the C diatonic major scale, which looks like this. It contains the root C, the major 3rd E, perfect 5th G and the major 7th B. One thing to take into account when improvising though, the 4th note from the scale, the note F in C major, is an avoid note. Use this note only as a passing note and do not dwell on this note. Now here's an example of the C major scale over a C major 7 chord. Sounds pretty recognizable because this is probably the most used option in genres like pop and rock. But also in jazz, this is a fine choice to make. The pentatonic scale is always an option. We can play the C major pentatonic scale, which is practically the same as the A minor pentatonic scale, by the way. And we can play the minor pentatonic scale of the 3rd degree, the E minor pentatonic scale. Now the latter has the advantage of having the major 7th degree that characterizes the sound of the major 7 chord. Now here is a simple scale example for both options. Now, a somewhat more daring pentatonic alternative is the minor pentatonic scale of the major 7th degree. So over a C major 7 chord, we can play a B minor pentatonic scale. There are lots of color tones and tension notes in this scale, like the 9th, the E sharp 11th, and the 6th or 13th. This scale also bears a major 7, and besides that only one chord note, the minor 7th. The sharp 11, which is the same as the sharp 4th degree, will give your improvisation a Lydian character since it is the trigger note for the Lydian mode. Now here's an improvisation example of the Lydian sounding B minor pentatonic scale in combination with the straightforward sounding C major pentatonic scale and the more jazzy sounding E minor pentatonic scale. Now the 3rd degree in the C major scale is the note E. The minor scale of this note, the E minor scale, contains all the notes of the C major chord. The root C, the major 3rd E, the perfect 5th G, and the major 7th B. Now in addition, it has an interesting alteration, namely the F sharp, which is the raised 4th degree in the C major scale. Now this note, this sharp 4th degree, is the characteristic note of the C Lydian mode and triggers that Lydian sound. Now just like the minor pentatonic scale of the 7th degree that we've just used, this scale is a Lydian option too. Now the E minor scale pattern looks like this. And here's an example of a modest improvisation with an E minor scale over a C major 7 chord. Now I don't want to confuse you of course, but I should mention that the major scale of the 5th degree is the relative major scale of the minor scale of the 3rd degree, and it contains exactly the same notes, and therefore both will work very well. So over a C major 7 chord, you could either play an E minor scale or a G major scale to achieve the same effect. Of course, I'm playing Captain Obvious here when I tell you that a major 7 arpeggio is the right thing to play over a major 7 chord. This can't go wrong. And although it's an obvious thing to do, it's certainly not the most exciting thing to do, but it will work. The C major 7 arpeggio looks like this: the root C, the major 3rd E, the perfect 5th G, and the major 7th B. Now, to make it slightly more interesting, you could try to create larger intervals within the arpeggio or combine it with, for instance, some typical pentatonic licks. By the way, there is a comfortable lick of a major 7 arpeggio over 2 strings that can be played very fast and real easy. Many virtuoso guitarists use this pattern. This pattern goes like this when played slow. And here it is fast. Now, the minor 7th arpeggio of the 3rd degree, the E minor 7th arpeggio in C major, contains a juicy color tone in the form of a 9th, and in this case the note D, which is the minor 7th in the E minor 7th arpeggio. Now, the arpeggio looks like this: the root E, the minor 3rd G, the perfect 5th B, and the minor 7th D. Over the C major chord, the E becomes the 3rd, the G becomes the 5th, the B becomes the major 7th, and the D becomes that beautiful 9th. Again, try to create some larger intervals by using some spread voicings and combine it with other options we have already discussed. Well, the major 7 arpeggio of the 5th degree acts like a Lydian trigger. In C major, the 5th degree is G. The G major 7 chord contains the notes G, the root, the 3rd B, the 5th D, and the major 7 F sharp. Now, over a C major 7 chord, the G becomes the 5th, the B becomes the major 7th, the D becomes the beautiful 9th, and the F sharp becomes the sharp 11. Now, the F sharp is the raised 4th degree in a C major scale, converting it to a Lydian scale. So the major 7 arpeggio of the 5th degree, like a G major 7 arpeggio over a C major 7 chord, creates a Lydian sound. Now, as you can see, there's always a choice. Well, with improvising over major 7 chords anyway. So we've seen that we can use a major scale and a major 7 arpeggio for a straightforward major 7 sound. By using pentatonic scales from other keys, we can color our improvisation in different ways. Other diatonic scales, like the minor scale of the 3rd degree, we can add a Lydian flavor to our melodies. Playing arpeggios of the 3rd and 5th degree, we alter the sound in yet another way. So you see plenty of possibilities, and there are even more that I didn't discuss here for the sake of the length of this video. Think of using a sequence of triads, for instance, or using a bebop scale with chromatic passing tones, but that's for another video. Anyway, next time I'll cover the minor 7 chord. For now, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I'd like to see you again in the next one. Greets from the Netherlands, and bye!